Salam alaikum. This next series that I want to do is to show the parallels between the idea of an intelligent designer, which a lot of very intelligent people with faith advocate for, and actually have been trying to get that theory passed into schools so that evolution of just random chaoticness is not the only thing that's taught to kids. Um, and I strongly believe in an intelligent designer. In fact, the Quran's description of Allah is very much an intelligent designer. Now, the difference between Spinoza's God and maybe the one in the Quran is Spinoza's God is this idea that there's this creational energy that creates and then just leaves everything alone, but is not invested or is not personally attached to things or to its creations. I would say that actually it is both. And this is going to be a very complicated series, but just hang in with me, and hopefully we can really deeply make a parallel between intelligent design and Allah. Because something that I've realized, and I said this in my other video when we got to the particular verse which it talked about the ancient peoples which were worshiping the sun and the moon. The name Allah, or the word Allah, is not a name of a being. It is not a personal name. Allah is a title, or is a way to describe the immense all that's before people. So in the past, when the ancient people would look up into the sky and look up into the stars and notice around them nature and how things seem to work in a pattern and to sustain life, they would say, Allah, wow, this is our beyond our understanding, but this is our creator. So what the Quran does is it adjusts people's thinking into understanding that the ancient people used to attribute a moon god or a sun god to the entire creation. And what the Quran does is it actually gets you to see that that Allah is far more than just the sun and the moon. And is far more than these little deities that humans, created to explain certain scientific aspects of the world. Allah is basically, in my mind, something that says ah, or is the all, which is so amazing that it's very similar to the English word all, Allah, all. So I wanted to go through the Quran, and I actually pulled out all the verses that say Allah. There is 153, so this is going to be a couple videos long. Because I want you to understand, I don't think people have this great grasp of what Allah is, especially people who reject faith in any way or don't understand Islam. They think that Allah is a being, and they think that Allah has like arms and legs, but is this all-knowing God. When really Allah is an intelligent designer of the entire universe or multiverse. We are arranged atoms, and Allah is the arranger of those atoms. Allah creates the laws of physics and the laws of science that we can investigate as humans. He has placed those there. And I don't like to use the pronoun he, but I feel that it's more respectful than saying it. But in my mind, Allah has no gender, is just a immense source of energy, of potential creational energy. Um, and in my honest view, is a very loving source, because Spinoza's God to me seems one that is more cold and aloof towards creation, and Allah has a particular investment in the good. Allah has a particular need for the good to survive. And what I have discovered logically is that that's because good energy, energetically actually promotes creation and facilitates growth of a species. So if you think about it, Allah is a loving creational source of energy that pulls us together with love, basically, as this energy that surrounds us. And if we are blind to it, we do not see that. And we may feel separation from people, and we may feel, divided into our little categories. And that's where racism breeds, because you don't see everybody as part of the same whole. And you either see yourself more superior or you see yourself different. And what I've noticed in the Quran is that it's constantly trying to bring people together. I do believe that the Quran is actually information given to us from this loving source. This is untouched information, meaning that it wasn't manipulated by human hands. The Arabs did an amazing job of being warriors and defending the Quran's integrity and not allowing people to translate it. We have the hadiths that were written outside of the Quran, but the actual Quran is preserved in a way that no one could manipulate the words. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you. I actually pulled out all of the verses with the name Allah, because I see it a lot on people's comments. Well, Allah is the devil, or Allah, screw Allah, or, and when people say those things, to me, it just shows them a very limited perspective of what God is or what Allah is. Because if they are literally saying, screw Allah or something ridiculous, that means they are technically saying, screw everything in existence, screw myself, screw everything. They aren't able to see the connection between this intelligent designer and them. And anybody who advocates for intelligent design, you really need to understand that Allah in the Quran is an intelligent designer, is a designer of the universe and of the earth and of multiverses and of worlds that we don't know of and can't visit right now, but is actually invested not by emotions, but by energy, is actually invested in our growth and in our expansion. Allah is the great mind of the universe, in a sense, and we are all thought forms from this creation. But what makes it so amazing is that Allah is so powerful that even though we are just thought forms, and I will go through some verses that actually explain that idea, we become very much real and we become very much material, but only for a temporary time. So this is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to go through and just read the verses that have the word Allah so that you can start to see that there is no physical description of this force. And this force exists in all of us actually inside all of us from the very subatomic particles, because that is the arranger of all those subatomic particles. And I don't think me doing this video is going to make us like all of a sudden blip out of existence. I believe that we are very, very real because of this loving force of creation. Just the idea of just the expression of creation and the actual movement of creation is loving, to allow us to exist and to experience. And yes, there are very hard times on earth, but that is because those that have taken advantage of this time have made it really difficult for others. And if you want to see hell and heaven, that very much can be just an energetic way of getting rid and disposing of the non-positive sources and the negative sources, meaning, getting rid of the things later on that won't help creation, that doesn't help to expand the universe in any way. And they become forever forgotten and isolated and removed from creation. And the ones that are positive energies, well, they move on. They move on, and they actually assist later on in creation, in the sense that they're part of the whole. They become joined with all the other consciousnesses in the universe together. That is the greatest reward, is when you realize that you were aligned to positive creational energy. You are part of that extending outward. So let me go through these verses so you can see Allah in no way, shape, or form is described, and actually is not a personal being. All right, 222. So Surah 222. Who has made the earth a place of rest for you, and the sky your canopy, and sent down rain from the sky, and brought forth from there fruits of your subsistence? Then do not set up rivals to Allah when you know the truth. So the idea of intelligent design, there are a lot of really fabulous websites out there, Muslim friends, that if you want, you just Google intelligent designer, and you'll see that it parallels with the idea that it's basically showing that there's order and there's purpose behind all creation. And right here we see, that Allah is not waving a magical wand to produce what exists before us, that there are certain laws of nature and laws of physics that exist and have been put in place in order to create what we see. And one of the things that earthlings like us really need to understand is that Earth is an immense gift. It is not heaven. We are not in the gardens of bliss right now, because we need to show that we earn that we should be able to attain that. So that's why we're working really hard on Earth. That's what this is. This is a school. We're here to learn and to move on. And here it is. We've made the earth a place of rest for you, and the sky your canopy, and sent down rain from the sky. So a lot of these verses in the Quran show that, Allah is very much in charge of nature, and has set these laws into motion. 227. And those who break Allah's promise after it is accepted, and who tear apart what Allah has ordered to be joined, and who make mischief on earth, those cause loss to themselves. So when I was talking about the idea that Allah is a positive creational force, and yes, we do need the negative, we do need that opposite in order to realize, what positive really is, what goodness really is. But in the long run, it is not needed as much as the positive energy. So here it says that Allah is not just indifferent to humanity, but actually creates and then wills for us to actually join together